Dad perfect events. My daughter-in-law called me last Tuesday and said, "Victor, we've decided Marcus and I are moving into your lake house. If you have a problem with it, you can find somewhere else to retire." I didn't argue with her right then. I just hung up and started planning exactly how I was going to show her what happens when you mess with the wrong old man. Let me back up. I'm Victor Pierce, 63 years old, and I just retired after 37 years as a mechanical engineer. 37 years of getting up at 5 a.m., missing family dinners, working weekends, and eating lunch at my desk, while younger guys went out to restaurants. Every penny I saved, every vacation I skipped, every overtime hour I worked, it all went toward one goal, that lake house in northern Minnesota. I bought the place in March for $285,000. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, sitting on 2 acres with 200 feet of pristine shoreline on Lake Vermilion. The realtor said it was the nicest property she'd seen in 20 years. I paid cash, no mortgage, no debt, just the fruits of a lifetime of hard work. The first month there was everything I'd dreamed of. I'd wake up to loons calling across the water, drink my coffee on the dock, and actually hear myself think for the first time in decades. No traffic, no neighbors yelling, just peace and quiet. I was finally living instead of just surviving. Then Ashley decided she wanted it. Ashley Pierce is my daughter-in-law, married to my son Marcus for 8 years now. She used to sell real estate until the market got tough, and now she's been between opportunities for about 2 years. That's her way of saying unemployed. She's 32, used to making decent money, and not handling the lifestyle adjustment very well. When I told Marcus about buying the lake house, he was happy for me, said I deserved it after all those years of sacrifice. But Ashley, she got this look in her eyes, like she was calculating something. I should have paid attention to that look. The first hint of trouble came in April. Ashley started making comments about how big the house was for just one person, how it seemed wasteful to have 3 empty bedrooms most of the time. She'd mention it every family dinner, just little digs here and there. Then in May, she stepped it up, started talking about how expensive it must be to maintain such a large property. How worried she was about me living so isolated at my age. Real concerned about my safety, she was. Marcus bought into it at first. Started asking if I was okay up there alone, if I needed anything. But I've been dealing with manipulative people my whole career. You don't survive 37 years in engineering without learning to spot someone trying to work an angle. Ashley wasn't worried about my safety. She was working up to something. The call last Tuesday made it crystal clear what that something was. "Victor," she said, "not even a hello first. Marcus and I have been talking, and we think it makes the most sense for us to move up to the lake house. We can help you maintain it, and you won't be alone anymore." "I don't need help maintaining it," I told her. "And I like being alone. That's not healthy for someone your age. Besides, we're family. We should be together." Family. That word again. Ashley loves to throw that around when she wants something. "The house isn't big enough for all of us," I said, which was true. It was big enough, but I wasn't about to admit that. "Oh, you can stay in the guest room. We'll take the master bedroom since we're younger and need more space." The guest room. In my own house. That I bought with my own money. That's when she delivered the line I mentioned earlier about finding somewhere else to retire if I had a problem with it. After I hung up, I sat on my dock for about an hour, just thinking. I could feel my blood pressure rising, which isn't good at my age, but I needed to get my head straight. Ashley wasn't just asking for a favor here. She was trying to take my house, and she was using my own son to do it. I called my attorney, Beverly Martinez, that same day. Beverly's about 45, sharp as a tack, and she's handled some property disputes for me before. I told her the whole situation. "Victor," she said, "you need to understand something. This isn't just about a house. This is about establishing a pattern. If Ashley succeeds in pushing you around on this, it won't stop here. People like her, they escalate." "What do you mean?" "I mean, next it'll be your finances, your healthcare decisions, maybe even your living situation entirely. I've seen this before with elderly clients. Elderly clients, I didn't love hearing that, but I knew she was right. What do you recommend? Document everything, every conversation, every text message, every phone call, and I want you to hire a private investigator. Isn't that a bit much? Victor, if someone was trying to steal your house through a legal loophole, you'd hire a lawyer, right? This is the same thing, just with different tactics." She gave me the number for Carol Williams, a private investigator who specializes in financial fraud and family disputes. I called Carol that afternoon. Carol's voice was all business. "Mr. Pierce, I need you to understand that family financial fraud is more common than people think. Adult children manipulating elderly parents, spouses hiding assets, relatives making false claims about money owed. It happens every day. I don't think Ashley's doing anything illegal, maybe not yet. But let me ask you this. Do you know anything about their financial situation, their debt levels, any gambling problems, substance abuse, anything like that?" I realized I didn't know much about Ashley and Marcus's finances at all. Marcus has always been private about money, and Ashley certainly wasn't sharing details. "I'll do some preliminary research," Carol said. "Basic background check, credit reports, public records. It'll cost you $500, but it might save you a lot more than that." I hired her on the spot. While I was waiting for Carol's report, I went to the hardware store and bought a security camera system. Nothing fancy, just basic cameras for the driveway and front door. I've always been handy with electronics, so installation was no problem. I also started recording every phone call Ashley made to me. Minnesota's a one-party consent state, so it's perfectly legal as long as I'm part of the conversation. Good thing too, because Ashley called me 6 more times that week. Each conversation got a little more aggressive. She started bringing up things like how much money I'd spent on the house, how selfish it was to hoard such a nice property, how disappointed she was in my attitude toward family. The best part was when she said, "Victor, after everything Marcus and I have done for you over the years, the least you could do is share the house with us." Everything they'd done for me, I asked her to be specific. "Well, we invited you to Thanksgiving dinner every year. You invited me to bring the turkey and pay for the wine, and we always include you in family photos. Because I'm family, Ashley, that's not a favor." She got flustered then and hung up on me, but I had it all recorded. By Thursday, Ashley was escalating her tactics. She started posting vague messages on Facebook about selfish family members who don't understand what family means. Nothing direct enough to be obvious, but anyone who knew our situation would understand what she was talking about. She also began what I can only describe as a whisper campaign among our extended family. My sister Linda called me Friday morning. "Victor, I got a strange call from Ashley yesterday. She seemed really worried about you living alone up there. Said you've been acting confused lately." "Confused how?" "She said you've been making some questionable financial decisions, spending money on things you don't need. She's concerned you might be getting taken advantage of." That's when I knew Ashley was laying groundwork for something bigger than just getting my house. She was trying to make people think I was losing my mental capacity. "Linda, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I am not confused. I am not making bad financial decisions. Ashley wants my lake house, and she's trying to manipulate the family into supporting her. But, Victor, she seems so genuinely concerned. She's a very good actress. Trust me on this." Carol's report came back the following Monday, and it was eye-opening. Ashley had $73,000 in credit card debt, most of it from online shopping and some kind of multi-level marketing scheme she'd gotten into. Marcus probably didn't know about half of it because some of the cards were in her maiden name. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the $28,000 cash advance she'd taken against Marcus's retirement account 6 months ago. The paperwork showed his electronic signature, but Carol found evidence that Ashley had been using his login credentials for various financial accounts, identity theft, plain and simple. "There's more," Carol said when she called to go over the report. "I found a series of text messages between Ashley and her sister where they discuss the plan for your lake house. Apparently this has been in the works since before you even bought the place." "How did you get her text messages?" Ashley's not very careful with her digital security. She uses the same password for everything, and her sister's even worse. They were discussing this whole thing in a Facebook group chat with their mother. What exactly were they discussing? How to manipulate Marcus into supporting the move. How to make you seem unreasonable for refusing. And here's the kicker. Ashley's been telling people you're showing signs of dementia. My stomach dropped. What? She's been laying groundwork for a competency challenge. If she can convince enough people that you're not mentally fit to make decisions about the property, she might be able to get Marcus appointed as your guardian. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a house anymore. This was about my entire future independence. "What do we do?" I asked. "We get ahead of this." I'm going to arrange for you to have a comprehensive cognitive evaluation done by a neuropsychologist. We'll document that you're completely competent. And Beverly Martinez is going to help us set up some legal protections for your assets. The cognitive evaluation took most of a Thursday morning at the University Hospital in Duluth. 2 hours of tests, puzzles, and interviews. The doctor, a woman about 50 named Dr. Peterson, said my cognitive function was above average for my age group. Whoever suggested you might have dementia, she said, either doesn't know what they're talking about or has other motives. I told her about Ashley, and she nodded knowingly. I see this more often than I'd like to admit. Family members making false claims about an elderly relative's mental state, usually as a precursor to financial exploitation. The written report was 12 pages long and made it very clear that I was mentally sharp, financially competent, and fully capable of making my own decisions. Armed with that documentation, Beverly and I went to work on protecting my assets. We set up a revocable trust with very specific language about who could make changes and under what circumstances. We also drafted a comprehensive power of attorney document that would prevent anyone from making claims about my competency without multiple independent medical evaluations. This is bulletproof, Beverly told me. Even if Ashley somehow convinced a judge to order a competency hearing, she'd need evidence from at least 2 different neuropsychologists. And the bar for that evidence is extremely high. Meanwhile, Ashley was ramping up her campaign. She'd started calling Marcus every day, sometimes multiple times a day, talking about how worried she was about me, how I seemed confused during our phone conversations, how living alone might not be safe for someone my age. She also began reaching out to other family members with her concerns. My nephew called from Chicago, asking if I was really okay. My brother-in-law mentioned that Ashley had expressed worry about my recent behavior changes. She was building a narrative, trying to get people on her side before making her move. Marcus finally called me himself on a Friday evening. I could hear the stress in his voice. Dad, Ashley's really concerned about you. She thinks maybe you should consider moving to one of those senior communities where there are people around. Marcus, when's the last time you talked to me where I seemed confused about anything? Long pause. Well, I mean, you don't seem confused to me, but Ashley says sometimes people can hide it well. Son, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Ashley doesn't want me in a senior community. She wants my house. And she's manipulating you to get it. Dad, that's not fair. Ashley loves you. We both do. Marcus, did you know your wife has $73,000 in credit card debt? Another pause, longer this time. What? Did you know she took a $28,000 cash advance against your retirement account 6 months ago? That's impossible. I would have to sign for that. She used your electronic signature. Marcus, I hired a private investigator. Your wife has been committing financial fraud, and now she's trying to get her hands on my property to solve her money problems. I could hear Ashley in the background, asking who he was talking to. Dad, I can't. This is crazy. You hired an investigator on my wife? I hired an investigator to protect myself from someone trying to steal my house. The fact that it's your wife makes it harder, not easier. Marcus hung up on me. I expected that. What I didn't expect was what happened next. Within an hour, Ashley called me back, and she was furious. How dare you poison my husband against me with your paranoid conspiracy theories? Ashley, I told him, the truth about your financial situation. If that poisons him against you, maybe the problem isn't what I said. You're a bitter, lonely old man who can't stand to see other people happy. That house is wasted on you. The house I bought with my own money is wasted on me. Yes. You sit there all alone like some kind of hermit while Marcus and I are struggling to make ends meet. We could use that place to build something beautiful, maybe start a family business, but you're too selfish to see beyond your own nose. This was the first time Ashley had dropped her concerned, caring act and shown me who she really was. I was recording the whole thing. Ashley, what family business? We've been looking into vacation rental properties. Do you know how much money that lake house could generate on Airbnb? Thousands every month during peak season. But you'd rather let it sit empty than let your family benefit. There it was. Her real plan wasn't just to live in my house. It was to turn it into a business. My peaceful retirement home would become a revolving door of strangers. That's never going to happen, I told her. We'll see about that. Marcus deserves better than what you're giving him. He deserves a father who actually cares about his future. She hung up, but I had everything I needed. The recording made it clear that Ashley's motives were financial, not emotional. She wasn't worried about my health or safety. She wanted to exploit my property for profit. The next morning, Beverly called with news that Ashley had contacted a lawyer about having me declared incompetent. The lawyer had apparently asked for evidence of my cognitive decline, and Ashley couldn't provide any. Without medical documentation or witness testimony of specific incidents, there wasn't much the lawyer could do. "She's getting desperate," Beverly said. "Desperate people make mistakes. Just keep documenting everything and stay alert." I didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, my security cameras caught Ashley and a man I didn't recognize walking around my property while I was in town getting groceries. They were looking in windows, testing door handles, and the man was taking measurements of the dock and boathouse. When I called Ashley to ask what she was doing on my property without permission, she claimed she was just showing it to a friend who was interested in the area. But Carol ran the license plate from my security footage and discovered the man was a real estate appraiser. Ashley was having my house appraised without my knowledge or consent, probably to get an accurate value for her legal proceedings. That's when I knew she was planning something bigger than just demanding to move in. "She's building a case," Beverly explained when I showed her the footage. "If she can't get you declared incompetent, she might try to argue that you need a guardian for your own protection, and that the house should be sold to pay for your care. Even though I don't need care, financial manipulation often involves creating artificial crises. She might be planning to manufacture evidence that you can't afford to maintain the property, or that living alone is becoming too expensive." The pieces were falling into place. Ashley wasn't just after my house. She was trying to systematically dismantle my independence and financial security. That's when I decided it was time to go on the offensive. Beverly and I prepared a comprehensive package documenting all of Ashley's financial fraud, the unauthorized property appraisal, her threats, and her manipulation campaign. We also included the cognitive evaluation proving my mental competency. "We're going to send this to the district attorney's office," Beverly said. "Financial elder abuse is a felony in Minnesota, and Ashley's actions clearly fall under that category. But first, I wanted to give Marcus one more chance to see the truth for himself." I called him and asked if he could come up to the lake house alone for a weekend. Just father and son, no Ashley. Surprisingly, he agreed. Maybe he was starting to have his own doubts. Marcus arrived Saturday afternoon, looking exhausted and older than his 35 years. We sat on the dock with beers, watching the sunlight sparkle on the water. "Dad, I need to ask you something directly. Are you having any memory problems, any confusion? Because Ashley's convinced something's wrong." I pulled out Carol's investigation report and handed it to him. "Marcus, your wife has been lying to you about a lot of things. I think you deserve to know the truth." He read through the financial documents with growing alarm. Bank statements showing the unauthorized retirement withdrawals, credit reports revealing the massive debt, text messages between Ashley and her sister plotting to get control of my property. "I didn't know about any of this," he said finally, his voice hollow. "The retirement account. She told me there was a paperwork error and I needed to sign some correction forms. I trusted her. That's what people do when they love someone. They trust. Dad, she's been asking me to sign a lot of papers lately. Financial stuff she said was routine. What if... Marcus, I think you need to check all your accounts when you get home, and maybe talk to your own attorney." We spent the rest of the weekend talking about everything except Ashley, fishing, grilling burgers, watching the loons. It reminded me of when he was a kid and we'd take weekend camping trips. Just us guys, no complications. Sunday evening, as he was loading his car to leave, Marcus turned to me with tears in his eyes. "Dad, I'm sorry. For all of it. For not seeing what she was doing to you, to us. For letting her use me against you. You don't need to apologize, son. You were trying to keep your marriage together. That's what good men do. I don't think there's a marriage left to save. That conversation was 6 weeks ago." The legal aftermath moved quickly once Marcus confirmed the extent of Ashley's financial fraud. She'd been forging his signature on loan applications, credit card applications, and had even attempted to take out a second mortgage on their house without his knowledge. The district attorney filed charges for identity theft, financial fraud, and elder abuse. Ashley's facing up to 5 years in prison if convicted. She's also been served with a restraining order that prohibits any contact with me. Marcus filed for divorce within a week of discovering the full extent of her deception. Beverly referred him to a good family lawyer who specializes in fraud cases. The divorce should be finalized soon, and Marcus will keep most of their assets since Ashley's criminal activities voided their prenuptial agreement. But the legal stuff took months to sort out, and the important part was already done. My son had his eyes open again. Last weekend, Marcus drove up to visit me at the lake house. He looks healthier now, like a weight's been lifted off his shoulders. We spent Saturday morning fishing for walleye, and actually caught enough for dinner. I've been thinking about moving up to Duluth, he told me as we cleaned the fish. Start fresh somewhere new. There's a marketing position open at a firm up there. You'd be about an hour away, I said, trying not to sound too pleased. I was hoping maybe I could visit more often. If that's okay with you, I forgot how peaceful it is up here. This place will always be yours someday, Marcus, but it's mine until I decide otherwise. He laughed at that, a real laugh, the first I'd heard from him in months. I learned something through all this, Dad. You taught me that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And sometimes the people you save include the ones trying to hurt you. We sat on the dock that evening, watching the sun set over Lake Vermilion. The loons were calling to each other across the water, and a bald eagle circled overhead, looking for fish. You know what the strangest part is? Marcus said. I actually feel grateful this happened. If Ashley hadn't shown her true colors now, imagine what she could have done over the years, to both of us. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing, I agreed. I'm writing this on my laptop, sitting in the same spot where I've spent countless peaceful mornings since retiring. Ashley's probably going to do some jail time. Marcus is rebuilding his life. And me? I'm enjoying my retirement in the house I earned, surrounded by the peace I worked 37 years to achieve. The thing is, I didn't set out to destroy Ashley's life. I just refused to let her destroy mine. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just protecting what you've worked for and letting the truth speak for itself. If you're dealing with something similar, remember this. You didn't work your whole life just to hand over your security to someone who thinks they deserve what you've earned. Document everything, get professional help, and don't let anyone convince you that family loyalty means being a doormat. You work too hard for what you have to give it up without a fight. The people who demand the most respect for family are usually the ones who understand it the least. Real family protects each other's dignity, not exploits each other's generosity. I spent 37 years building something worth protecting, and I wasn't about to let someone tear it down just because they called me family. Sometimes saying no is the most loving thing you can do.